Good, happy Monday evening. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast. Let's begin. First up, Governor Sununu creates school safety task force. A new task force will spend the next few months developing stronger safety protocols for New Hampshire schools. Republican Governor Chris Sununu announced the Governor's School Safety Preparedness Task Force on Monday, a week and a half after 17 people were shot to death at a Florida high school. He says the task force will bring together state and local officials, law enforcement, and school officials, and will build upon work done in recent years by the state Homeland of Security to conduct security assessments in hundreds of schools across the state. Under a new state law, all schools are required to develop school emergency plans and submit them to the Department of Education. And a new public school infrastructure fund is investing nearly $20 million on schools to make infrastructure and security upgrades. Medical student stabbed 20 times in library, prosecutors say. Let's take a listen to the video from WCVB Boston.
News at 5, Sarah Kanji joins us live from Woburn. Sarah? Erica and Antoinette, in court this morning, prosecutors called this a vicious and unprovoked attack. We also learned that the suspect, Jeffrey Yao, has a long history of mental illness.
Please stand, sir.
23-year-old Jeffrey Yao appeared in a Woburn courtroom this morning, accused of stabbing a woman to death in the Winchester Public Library Saturday morning.
This was a vicious, unprovoked attack with a knife on a young woman in a public place.
Prosecutors allege Yao used a 10-inch hunting knife to attack the victim from behind. 22-year-old Deanne Kenny Stryker, a first-year med student, was studying in the reading room when the assault began, but she first managed to get away.
Ms. Stryker managed to get up and attempted to get to the front lobby, but the defendant pursued her and continued attacking her with the knife.
The young woman was stabbed 20 times, according to police, and a 77-year-old man was also hurt when he tried to stop the attack.
Jeffrey Yao is a troubled young man who has a long history of serious mental illness.
Yao's defense attorney says he has been hospitalized on several occasions for mental illness, and Winchester police have often dealt with Yao, even escorting him to the hospital.
It's the nightmare for the victim's family, whom my client's parents feel devastated about the death of that young woman, who was totally blameless. And my client's family is devastated that after years of dealing with his mental illness, he commits this act.
Now, Yao has one open criminal case on his record. Back in September, he was arrested for trying to break and enter into a neighbor's home. Now, he was released on probation under the condition that he get some medical treatment. Police even escorted him to the hospital. It is unclear if he was supposed to be taking medication or if he was under any specific medical protocols. Live at the Woburn Courthouse, Sarah Kanji, WCVB News Center 5.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Maine State Police investigating death of 10-year-old. Let's take a listen to the video from WMTW News 8 Maine.
Police are investigating the death of a 10-year-old girl in the town of Stockton Springs. Officials say an ambulance was called to a residence at the Village at Stockton Harbor condominiums yesterday afternoon just before 3 o'clock. An autopsy is being done today on the girl's body. Police are not classifying the death until they receive the results. No other information is being released.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. We will keep you updated if new information comes into our newsroom. And now let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed for this Monday evening. And here's a look at those stock markets for this evening right now. As you can see, your Dow Jones Industrial Average closed in the green and went up. Your Nasdaq closed in the green and went up. S&P 500 closed in the green and went up. CNBC IQ 100 closed in the green and went up. Gold closed in the green and went up. Oil closed in the green and went up. US 10-year closed in the red and went down. Euro/USD closed in the red and went down. And VIX closed in the green and went up. And that's a look at your markets and how your markets did for the day. Stocks rallies nearly 400 points. Major average Dow just 3% from all-time highs. U.S. stocks closed sharply higher Monday, regaining more than half of their correction level losses aimed a stabilization as interest rates. Trump says he would have run in there to stop Parkland shooting. Let's take a listen to the video from ABC News.
I'm grateful that Governor Rick Scott is here, and we thank him for his leadership in the aftermath of the terrible tragedy in Parkland, Florida. Horrible. Our nation is heartbroken. We continue to mourn the loss of so many precious, innocent young lives. These are incredible people. I visited a lot of them. But we'll turn our grief into action. We have to have action. We don't have any action. It happens. A week goes by, let's keep talking. Another week goes by, we keep talking. 2 months go by, all of a sudden everybody's off to the next subject. Then when it happens again, everybody's angry, and let's start talking again. We gotta stop. By the way, bump stocks, we're writing that out. I'm writing that out myself. I don't care if Congress does it or not. I'm writing it out myself, okay? You put it into the machine gun category, which is what it is. It becomes essentially a machine gun, and nobody's going to be able, it's going to be very hard to get them. So we're writing out bump stocks. But we have to take steps to harden our schools so that they're less vulnerable to attack. This includes allowing well-trained and certified school personnel to carry concealed firearms. At some point, you need volume. Now, I don't know that a school is going to be able to hire 100 security guards that are armed. Plus, you know, I got to watch some deputy sheriffs performing this weekend. They weren't exactly Medal of Honor winners, all right? The way they performed was, frankly, disgusting. They were listening to what was going on. The one in particular, he was early. Then you had 3 others that probably a similar deal a little bit later, but a similar kind of a thing. You know, I really believe, you don't know until you test it, but I really believe I'd run in there even if I didn't have a weapon. And I think most of the people in this room would have done that too, because I know most of you. But the way they performed was really a disgrace. Second, we must confront the issue of mental health. And here is the best example of mental health. This kid had 39 red flags. They should have known. They did know. They didn't do anything about it. That was really a bad time, I have to tell you. Nobody bigger for law enforcement than I am. But between the people that didn't go into that school and protect those lives and the fact that this should have been solved long before it happened, pretty sad. So we have to confront the issue, and we have to discuss mental health, and we have to do something about it. You know, in the old days, we had mental institutions. You had a lot of them. And you could nab somebody like this because, you know, they did. They knew something was off. You had to know that. People were calling all over the place. But you used to be able to bring him into a mental institution, and hopefully he gets help or whatever, but he's off the streets. You can't arrest him, I guess, because he hasn't done anything, but you know he's like a boiler ready to explode, right? So you have to do something. But you can't put him in jail, I guess, because he hasn't done anything. But in the old days, you'd put him into a mental institution. And we had them in New York, and our government started closing them because of cost. And we're going to have to start talking about mental institutions, because a lot of the folks in this room closed their mental institutions also. So we have no halfway. We have nothing between a prison and leaving him at his house, which we can't do anymore. So I think you folks have to start thinking about that. Third, we have to improve our early warning response system so that when friends, family, and neighbors do warn the authorities about a violent or dangerous individual, action is taken quickly and decisively. Look, you had the one mother, if you remember, in Connecticut, how horrible that was. She was begging to take her son in and help him do something, anything. He's so dangerous, and nobody really listened to her. And he ended up killing her. And then the rest, you know what happened? It was a horror. But she was begging to do something about her own son.
Okay, and there you go on that video. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Riley King Newscast. I hope you all enjoyed this edition of the Riley King Newscast, and have a great rest of your night. I'll have a news report later on this evening. Good night, everyone. Bye.